Hi guys, welcome back to Coffee with the Authors, and today we're going to talk about a few things about the publishing industry that we wish we'd known when we started.
Number one for me is that publishing takes time. I didn't realize how much time it took. Even after you get an agent, after you get an editor, the process of from the time of acquisition to the time that you can go to the bookstore and buy your own book is about 2 years. It's a long 2 years because you're so excited, you can't wait for it to come out, and then you go through the revision process.
Oh God, yes.
And the revision process takes quite a bit of time. There's also the aspect of hurry up and wait. Like you get your revision notes back, you get your letter back, you work on it, you meet your deadline, and then you wait. And then the next round of things comes to you and you work on it and you send it back.
And then what?
And then you wait.
And you wait.
And so there's this hurry up and wait aspect to it, which can be a little frustrating. But also the team at the publishing house needs to get ready for the arrival of your book. So they have a marketing department, a publicity department, the school and library department, all the various departments that are doing their own thing to prepare for your book to come out. And that all takes quite a bit of lead time. So it's about 2 years. And then in the meantime, you probably should be working on something else.
That's the best thing. Yeah.
So that you're not so frustrated by the whole hurry up and wait aspect of publishing.
And another thing is that the pay structure is, I guess you'd call it unconventional. First of all, you get paid basically twice a year, other than advances. And advances don't come all at once either. When you get an advance, it usually is typically in 3 chunks, maybe on signing, on acceptance of the manuscript, and on publication. Sometimes 4, sometimes 2, but generally something like that. So it comes spread apart, not all at once. And of course, you have 50% to your agent, and then you have to set aside for taxes. And then your royalties come in like twice a year, and you don't really know how much you're going to get. You're going to get somewhere between nothing and a lot, and you don't really have a clue how much it's going to be. It's as strange as that sounds, you don't really know, generally speaking. So you have to get used to financial uncertainty, and you have to kind of put some in the bank and plan ahead, and not just assume that, oh, I had a good year, so I'm going to have a good year next year also, because you never really know.
If things are better now that you have access online to sales, but it still isn't something that is real accurate as far as, budgeting your life. So you want to find ways to augment your income in between those royalty payments. We're going to do a whole episode on the structure of payment for authors. We're going to break it all down for you so you can see kind of what you get and what you take home. The third thing that I wish I'd known was about bookstore expectations. Like when you do a book signing, you're so excited, your book is coming out. And usually with your first book, all your friends and family will come and they'll be totally supportive. And it'll be a super fun event at your local bookstore. But after that, it's if your publisher sends you on a tour, sometimes you'll wind up in an area where you don't know anybody. And the bookstore does their best to bring people into the store. But sometimes you will get skunked. You will be there for an hour and a half with the bookseller, and there will be nobody there. And the bookseller will feel terrible, and you'll feel terrible, and you'll all feel like it's your fault. But really, during that time, you'll get to know the bookseller better. You'll swap stories. So instead of talking to an audience, you're talking to the bookseller. And that in and of itself is really valuable because we connect over books. We talk about lots of different books, but they get to know you as a person a little bit too. And you'll get to talk more about your book. And then after you're gone, they'll hand sell your book. Unless you go there and you're a complete diva or devo and you have attitude about the whole thing, why isn't anybody here? Then no, they're not going to hand sell your book. So even when nobody shows up to your book signings, make the most of it by getting to know somebody else who also loves books.
Absolutely. Several years ago, we went on a big book tour and we went to probably 100 bookstores across the United States. And somebody asked, did we make money or not? And it's kind of hard to say because I figured out we sold thousands of books, but over 100 stores. I mean, if you sell 20 books at a store, okay, that's a couple thousand books. But we also ended up with 100 bookstores that knew us and were kind of liked us, I guess you'd say.
Because we were very nice.
And we brought people into the store, and we did this all. And anyways, of course, it's not on their dime. They have to pay to put the event together, but they don't pay you. But the punchline was, we ended up with 100 bookstores across the United States that were predisposed to like us and hand sold our books afterwards for months and or maybe years in some cases. So that's this intangible benefit you get from doing that.
So I wish I'd known that being skunked didn't mean you were being skunked.
That's right. When it comes to reviews, you never, ever, ever want to engage with the reviewers, whether that's a professional review in a magazine or just typically it's user reviews on Goodreads or on Amazon or whatever. You read a review, you don't like it, it says something bad about your book. No, don't engage at all. Let it go. That's not your job. Do not engage. I can't say this enough. Do never engage. It never, ever, ever will end well for you, the author, to engage with the reviewer. It's their space. That's considered a real faux pas among readers for an author to kind of inject himself or herself into the review space. That is for readers, not you. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, even if they don't like your particular work. And once you're finished with your book and you've published it, and it's out there in the world, it's not yours anymore in a sense. It belongs to the world, and they can say whatever they want about it. And the best thing you can do is to ignore that stuff and get on with your next book.
Which can be super, super hard because you really, really, really want to explain. You want to argue a little. You want to say, didn't you get that? Why didn't you get that? You want to get in there and, stand up for your book.
It's okay.
But you can't do it.
You can't do it. Okay, moving on.
The fifth thing is that I didn't realize that there would be so much travel involved when you're an author and that you have to become a public speaker. If you're a naturally shy person, like I'm a recovering shy person. If you're a naturally shy person, it's hard. It's hard to engage with people when you've created these imaginary worlds and these imaginary friends and imaginary characters, and you are kind of in your head a lot. You're somebody who spends a lot of time alone with your imaginary friends. And then when you have to go out into the real world and engage with people, it can be difficult. So I didn't realize how much of that would be expected of me as an author and how I really needed to get geared up to be more of a public person.
Along those same lines, it's also valuable to get to know other authors, but not for the usual, I'm going to network to further my platform kind of bullshit, but just to get to know them as people, because it's kind of good for your mental health. Writing is a very solitary thing. We're unusual and lucky in that regard, in that we are both writers and we share an office and we share a life. But most authors don't have that luxury, and their husband or wife may not know anything about or care about the publishing industry. So it's good to know other people who are going through what you're going through and will understand you when you complain about whatever it is that you want to complain about, or just answer questions like, how did you deal with this situation when your first book came out, or when you went on tour, or when your book got remaindered, or whatever happens. Otherwise, you're kind of all by yourself doing this artistic thing, which pretty much happens by yourself in a room with your computer. So it's just kind of for your own mental health. It's good to get to know other authors.
The next one for me kind of goes along with the first one that I talked about. And that is that publishing is nothing like you see it represented on TV. In television shows, you'll have somebody will get a book deal, and then,
2 weeks.
They'll have some editorial process that takes 2 weeks, and then they're doing a book signing. And granted, things need to be streamlined for the television story arc, but I've seen it so much, it's like it misrepresents what it's really like. It doesn't happen like that, not at all.
Wait, how often do you go to New York and have Manhattans or have margaritas or have martinis, some of the drink with an M, with your editor?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Okay, and finally, this is a short one, but before you get involved in publishing, people worry about things like someone's going to steal my story idea, or I need to copyright it somehow, especially send the copy off to the Copyright Office of the United States. That doesn't happen. nobody wants to steal your book. And the minute you create it and start writing it, it is automatically copywritten by you anyways. That's the way the law reads. In other words, that just doesn't happen. People would rather write their own stories and do all that stuff than take somebody else's story and still have to fight through the process of trying to get an agent and an editor and all that stuff. So just kind of don't worry about that stuff. Just write your stuff and send it out to the world.
We used to do that though, because we didn't know, and we would mail our manuscripts to ourselves because that was the conventional wisdom. That's how you copyright something. You mail it to yourself and you don't open the envelope because that's proof that it was yours. So you don't need to do that. That's it for this episode. Thanks for stopping in to have a quick cup of coffee with us. We hope you've gotten something useful out of it. We'll see you next time. And meanwhile, remember, dream big, work hard, don't give up,
and keep writing.
Don't! No, okay, let's do that again. I'm sorry, it just kind of came out.
No, it's like, I gotta get the last word.
No, don't!